Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign. Today we're going to be looking at Derelicts. It's a brand new, just announced survival game that's been developed by a single dev, like one dude by himself. Now I know you can probably hear that my voice is completely broken. I've got the flu or I've got a cold or something. It's definitely not the old COVID. I've had a few tests just to make sure because it all came out of bloody nowhere. So you're going to have to listen to my already monotonous voice with an added croak effect. My computer still hasn't turned up, it's still on its way, so hopefully in the next couple of days we'll see a change in that and the computer will be here and I'll start getting more gaming content out there with actual gameplay and other things, etc. So for just the time being, we're going to be looking at a lot of updates and a lot of game stuff that's going to be coming out in the future. So make sure to like the video if you do enjoy my content. Make sure to subscribe for all of your survival gaming content, and we do have a Patreon in the description if you would like to support myself and the channel. So anyway, today we're going to be looking at Derelicts. As I said earlier, this is a brand new survival game that's just been announced recently. Quite a bit of information from November onwards has been given out, and I've only just recently heard about this game. One of my friends in the Discord sent me a link over and I went into the Discord, had a conversation with the developer, had a conversation with the community over there, and it's steadily growing. Now the game does not have a Steam store page yet. There was talks about a Kickstarter maybe being set up, but I don't know if that's old news or not. But the Steam store page will be coming up this week and I'll give you an update on that so you can make sure to stick it on your wish list if you do fancy it. There's a lot about this game that I do like the look of. I'm a massive fan of the forest, and you can quite clearly see during like the clips that I've got here, some of these are old clips, some are more new clips, but there's definitely some ideas and sort of creative ideas coming out of the game that have come from the forest itself. Now, I'm not saying that the guy has just gone and ripped everything off, because, I mean, survival games are survival games, and there's only so many different ways you can do a survival game. So don't take it as that. I don't want to see a whole load of 10, 20 comments talking about how these guys are just ripped off a game, because this game definitely has a lot of newer ideas and some ideas from some other games, like you're looking at Victoria and stuff like that. And then I'm sort of losing my voice. You'll hear me start croaking again. Well, you have a kind of belt system. Now the one we've seen in videos so far is a flute system where they're building up the wood like what you would usually use as an irrigation system from a sort of water wheel, and then the water wheel would get the will move the water into the flute system, and that flute system will be able to carry resources. Like in some of these clips and some of the videos, you're going to see that logs are being passed from one area to another. You can also use these flutes as a transportation system to get yourself around quicker, kind of like a sort of log ride or roller coastery type thing. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there that who really love building different kinds of bases and stuff that are going to find this really interesting, especially with the quick ways of getting around from different places and being able to cut down trees in a faraway area. It was one thing that kind of didn't annoy me about the forest, but it sort of set me back a little bit. Now, I haven't played the forest since its like first launch times. I didn't play it when it got to the multiplayer updates and all that sort of stuff. So if there's anything new added like this flute system in the forest, then I don't actually know about it. So please let me know down below if that is the case. But it's definitely, for me at least, a little bit of a fresh idea from my perspective. Now, we do know there's going to be a pet dog that is going to be in the game, and who doesn't love a pet dog? You got Fallout, you got dog meat in Fallout. Everyone loves a bit of Ark Survival Evolved, all the different kinds of animals that you can get in there. You've got Conan Exiles where you can have pets and stuff, even though in Conan Exiles the pets are pretty lacklusterly dead, but they're still there, and especially if you want to start doing some sort of RP stuff. Now, this game will be a 4-person co-op from the start. Now, we don't know if it's going to be launched as an early access game, which is most likely the case, as with a lot of survival games. It is an easy way for developers to bring in some money, to be able to hire some new people, to get some new assets, because the actual developer Remain, who's actually dealing with this game, is doing all of this stuff by himself. So bear that in mind when you're looking at the game and you're critiquing certain things. Like if you're going to see some blurry images or you're going to see a little bit of a blurry UI, that's just stuff that's been happening over time during the development that will be fixed before it comes out. I'm sure of it. And once it actually starts getting some traction and people start helping out with sort of, maybe if they do the Kickstarter, maybe if they do any of the other things, going on the Steam page, early access, getting some money in, and he might be able to hire some other developers. But then again, I mean, when it comes to creating something yourself, it's kind of difficult to find someone you can trust to come in and mess with your baby. It's sort of your brainchild. You've done it from the beginning. You've got it to where it is going to be. But hopefully you can set that aside, get a couple of other coders, get a developer in there, get some asset stuff going on, because you can quite clearly see in sort of the backgrounds and the maps and stuff, a lot of the things within the game and these clips and videos are being used from other assets from the Unreal Engine. And you can see, I mean, it is very, very similar to the forest coming from the tower pooling that goes on the floor for you to mix and match stuff. There is also some sort of, it's not quite voxel terraforming, but there's sort of when you go, it shows a little bit of something where you're digging out on the sand, and yes, it is a perfect circle, and yes, it's probably not going to be that way once the game's fully designed, but it does show that the world is being changed by you living in it, which I personally really enjoy. Now, another major thing for me, at least from what I know so far, from the stuff that I've been going in and getting information from, speaking to the developer and having a conversation with other people, from like the admin team on the Discord, etc., there will be seasons. Now, a lot of games in the survival genre do kind of have seasons, but this isn't more like they have biomes. So you'll go from one area to another area, which will have a different kind of season, to another area, to different biome. But what we're seeing inside of this game, or what's been promised in this game, in Derelicts, there's going to be seasonal changes where it will be winter in one, like in the whole area of the map. So like you'll be going through and then it'll become winter, and then there are going to be some survival mechanics for that. Then it will be spring and summer, autumn, and then you'll see differences in changing in the trees, in the ground. You'll see when it starts to snow that the snow starts to settle on the ground. Rivers start freezing over and will thaw out in the spring, etc., etc. For me, that is a really, really nice addition. You don't really see that in many survival games anymore. It does seem to be something that maybe developers think might be a bit too much for their game to add all of these kind of things. Now, there is another addition that I've heard being talked about, but I haven't found any confirmation of whether this is going to be in the game or not, and that is sort of your mental health. The longer you're going in and the longer you go without eating, the longer you go without drinking, the more stress you go through fighting the aliens, etc. when you're landing on the planet. This could change your mental state and give you some debuffs. It can give you some buffs depending on how happy you are, etc. Now, again, I haven't confirmed that. I haven't been able to confirm that wholeheartedly, but it is definitely something that has been said and is going to be said to be in there. And this is by conversations that I've seen on the Discord. Now, their official Discord, I will leave a link for that in the description so you can keep up to date with the game. It's going to tell you when it's going up on the Steam store, so then you'll be able to wishlist it. And there's a lot of other information on the actual Discord itself. It's got launch FAQs, it's got announcements, it's got roadmaps, social media stuff. It's a lot of the support and translation, which is the translations are being helped by the community on the Discord, so there'll be people helping out. So it's not just someone like in other games that we've seen. For instance, Myth of Empires, one of the more recent games that I've played, have used some sort of Google Translate system, which ends up being really bad. The developers actually getting the community to help with the translations depending on which region they're going in. And that's another massive bonus, at least for me, that there's going to be people that actually know what they're talking about. Now, there could be some issues where there could be some bellend who does a translation and makes it look really bad, or says something naughty that shouldn't be said, pretending it's something else. That's always can be something that might happen, but they'll be ironed out really quickly. I'm sure that will come up in the actual feedback and when they're looking at doing the translations and stuff, at least as far as I can see. Now, as we were talking about Discord earlier, the community is really helpful. They're giving a lot of ideas to the developers. The developers are actually in there talking to the guys. There's a lot of communication going on, and it's really nice to see. So I would urge you to go into the Discord and have a look at it yourselves. Now, this game will be something that I am going to keep up to date with, and I'll keep you guys up to date with any updates that come out in the future. I'm going to have a conversation with the developer when he has a little bit of time. He's doing the holiday period right now, so he's doing some other stuff. But I will try to get a sit down and maybe do a Q&A or an FAQ with the developers so he can answer some questions of the community, maybe do it into a little bit of live stream. I'll have to ask him what he's available doing and what he's not available to be doing. So we'll have to see about that in the future, but that's definitely something I would like to sit down and have a conversation with him about. If you are watching this, Remain, give me a shout in the Discord, send me a DM, and we'll get something together. And that's all we have for today on Derelicts. Remember, I'll keep you up to date on all the information on survival gaming, Myth of Empires, any games that I go and cover during the actual time for all of your news and updates. Remember to like the video if you do enjoy my survival gaming content. Remember to subscribe for more of the survival gaming videos. We do have a Patreon in the description if you would like to support myself and the channel. Fly safe. I hope I get rid of this cold and avoid local chat scams.